Good afternoon, lovely tubers. White Mexican back again with a particular market watch today. Ban list season is right before us, and really quick, I just kind of wanted to put my opinion out there on the market for what my personal projected forbidden and limited lists are going to be for the month of August this year in 2020. So, got a couple different tabs right here. Pre-warning, this is going to be more of a lengthier video because there's a lot of content, a lot of cardboard that I want to review. The way I've set it up and organized this video, it's broken down into the more cost-effective, a little bit more less expensive investments first, starting with the very first things that I have personally invested funds into for this list in particularly, as well as some more expensive and kind of more just pricey investments towards the end. So getting things started off first, I'm going to be starting with the cards that I, the White Mexican, have personally recently purchased, in particularly for this August 2020 ban list. So starting out with Dandelion. Now I personally did not buy the Ultimate Rare, which I will review later at a later date because it's a higher end dollar card. But starting with the other versions, excluding the Ultimate Rare, I personally went in and I got the Secret Rare version right here from Legendary Collections 2. This is, I'm a really big fan of Secret Rare, and like literally this card was like $2. There was I think it was a 2 or 3 stack. I think it was a 3 stack for $2. Near mint first edition. Now, it's been a while since I purchased that card. I haven't reviewed this card, so this is all kind of news to me. But it doesn't look like there's any more first editions here on the first page, but it's still relatively just a $2 card for the Unlimiteds. I don't recommend you guys investing in Unlimiteds. I never recommend investing in Unlimiteds. But the first edition here that we're going to see is already up to 5 bones. So, again, ban list is very, very close. So, obviously, with it being closer to the list, I bought a playset of these, again, for $2, first edition mint, near mint. It was probably about a week ago or so. So not too long ago, but you can see, but this is still very much, it's kind of left up interpretation. Obviously, it's gone up $3. This is a 3 stack from Multi-Monster, which is a pretty good seller. There's only 4 listing pages here. So really quick, it's kind of up to you guys. Again, I personally invested, 6 bones for a playset of 3 first edition secrets. That's kind of what I did, just because this is a plant player's to-go-to card. Synchro Plants has been wanting to come back for a long time now, and that was just a really infamous deck. There's a huge fanboy player base out there, so completely up to you guys. I'm going to be reviewing the Ultimate Rare in a bit here and later. Of course, there's a Shonen Jump Ultra Rares as well. Anything else, I'm just not going to review because I just really don't think. Like, personally, this is my opinion, this is my channel, and I don't believe that there's really much else to review in besides the top 3, which is going to be the Secret Rare, the Shonen Jump Ultra Rares, and the Ultimate Rare. The Ultimate Rare I'm going to be getting in a bit, so I'm just going to move on here because I have a lot of content that I want to review. The next card that I just recently personally invested funds in that I really believe in and that I have invested specifically for this list is going to be Level Eater. More specifically, the Dual Terminal 5. There is a super rare promo from the 2010 tin. I personally decided against that. I personally decided to go for the Dual Terminal 5 commons. One, because I like the aesthetics, I like the rarity better than the super rares, and they were significantly cheaper. The super rares were like $3, and now they're about $5 or so. I don't really remember. I haven't reviewed them since I went and bought the DT ones, but these are still like a $50 pretty much across the board. Here's a 40 stack, a whopping 40 stack for under a bone here from Big City Cards. So there's plenty of availability still to get this card relatively cheap. And this is about the same price point that I paid. I paid roughly around a bone a piece, and I don't remember exactly how many I got. I think I maybe got at least 3 play sets of this card. So this was another thing that I invested in personally for this specific list. Now, I normally don't do this, but when it comes to this card, Magical Scientist, this card has been banned forever. It got banned like in Gen 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's not come off the list. And of recently, we've been getting a lot of old school Gen 1 stuff releases. Black Luster Soldier, Chaos Emperor Dragon, Regeki, Monster Reborn is just a few things to name as an example. Of cards that have come off the list of like the last couple recent releases. And normally I don't, you guys, if you guys watch my channel, I don't normally go for Dark Rev. I think Dark Rev is like low rarity for high dollar, but you have to understand that there is a mass population out there that is really in love with Dark Revelation and Dark Meaning and all that, and they're really into those. and they sell, and there's a big collector's market out there for these particular prints. I don't like them because they don't have first edition runs, and again, like high dollar for low rarity. But with that being said, Magical Scientist only has 2 prints, the original Magician Force Common, and of course the Dark Revelation 1 reprint. This is also Dark Revelation 1, the very first Dark Revelation, which makes it, the very first and the oldest Dark Revelation of all the sets, which gives it just more history value and credibility in that factor. These were really cheap. I don't remember. I think I bought either 9 or so of these, and they were roughly around $1, which they still kind of are for a few ones here, but it kind of trickles up after that. But my personal opinion, I do think if you can find an affordable price, I mean, these are probably 1 stack, so you got to kind of dig through to find a fatter stack, a more quantity to buy this, because it's a cheaper card and you're going to want to buy it in bulk to save on shipping and all that. I would personally recommend, and I normally don't do this, but again, to go for the Dark Rev 1 Rare over the original print first edition commons. Nothing against. I still think that this card gets unbanned, that the Magician Force MFC first edition commons are still going to go up exponentially in value exclusively for the first editions, because that was a core set and actually had unlimited and first edition prints. So I would definitely not discredit. If you guys have first editions, hold on to them. You can potentially sell them or use them. I have much love for the commons, but I personally, this time around, specifically for this ban list for August 2020, I invested in the Dark Rev ones because they were cheap, and I know that there's a buyer's market out there for that particular version. Next is going to be Dragon Rulers. I did not invest in Dragon Rulers particularly for this list, but I do have an abundance. When these 2013 tins came out, I bought an abundance of 2013 tins, and I have kept all of them. I have not gotten rid of any of my Dragon Rulers, not even Tempest. I believe Tempest is the one that got lifted off the ban list a bit ago. More specifically, obviously, Tidal and Blaster, because they're the more powerful and more popular, and this got really great artwork. And of course, there's Redox as well, and they're still really cheap. And this format, the history behind this format, and the hype behind these cards, and the power behind these cards, and that they are secret rares. The original ones were rares. Some people are more into the rares because they were actually from the core sets. But me personally, and I think the majority of players appreciate the secret rare tin promos more, just because they're higher rarity, they look a lot better aesthetically, and just the history that surrounds Dragon Rulers. Everyone talks about Dragon Ruler format, how infamous and crazy, and just how just blowout these cards were, and just how utterly unfair these decks were. And there's phases of Yu-Gi-Oh where these decks just are literally unparalleled, and they're just crushing everything until the ban list is literally the only solution to stop these decks from just wreaking havoc on the whole entire meta for ages. So there's a lot of great things behind these values. Again, and you can see here, I'm not going to go in particularly into detail to every single one, but you can see here they're relatively cheap still. I mean, they're probably going to be, well, I will go into Blaster and Tidal because everyone's has a little more vested interest in those, and those are the top 2. Again, just beautiful artwork, amazing history, and these cards have, been banned for a good amount of time now. And anything goes. White Mexican Logic, everything comes off the ban list eventually. It's just a matter of if Konami decides to errata them or not. And they're going for about 3 bones, you can see. There's not really a lot of fat stacks. Anything under 5 bones, I think, is a reasonable price for this. I know it's banned. It's been banned forever. But this card is just so blowout and so powerful and so infamous. And there's so many great, so much great history. And it's really unfortunate there's not really a lot of stacks in the front pages of that. But I mean, this is a very desirable card, just the same as Tidal. And if you guys just want to invest in 2 Dragon Lords, invest in Tidal and Blaster. These are going to be the money cards. These are going to be the ones that are going to be great. And if it gets unbanned, yes, of course, obviously, Konami is going to reprint the Dragon Lords in more than likely probably a crappy rarity, like ultra rare, that no one wants. And then everyone's going to look at the secret rares as the highest rarities and being the older prints, and the values are just going to continue to increase from there. So this is, again, roughly around Blaster's price. It's about $3 plus, a little bit more expensive than Blaster, it looks like, if you factor in shipping. Unfortunately, again, there's not a lot of fat stacks and there's 5+ pages. Again, this isn't the normal time that I go in. I go in and I buy band cards and limited cards way early before the list. But because we're right before the dawning of this list, I kind of wanted to give you guys an emergency video to give you kind of one less opportunity. It's not the most ideal because this is usually when prices increase for the cards that are on the list. But I just felt it was necessary, with a couple days before the dawning of the list. I wanted to kind of just showcase you guys and kind of give you an idea of what I do and kind of break down what I've been investing in. But this is a year-round thing. Yu-Gi-Oh! It's just like single stock trading. You have to buy low and sell high, and the market is so quick. You have to know exactly what's going on, and you have to sell right away, because if you're the last to sell, you're not going to get top dollar. And that's like the only way I can think of it, is Yu-Gi-Oh! Is literally just like single stock trading. And the way you get on the top is by buying low and selling high. You have to be on top of the market, and that is why, not just ban list season, you have to be looking at these cards and taking consideration and buying them when we're ideally the furthest away from the ban list. So right after a ban list, maybe a month after this list drops in the beginning of September, that's when you want to review and really see the decrease of the fluctuation of prices. And that's the best time to get these, more particularly the forbidden, the ban cards, but as well as the limited cards too. But with that being said, kind of where we are in the market right now. So next is going to be Fiber Jar. Again, don't worry about this common or this rare. It's all about OG print, ultra rares. Now, I will say this. I normally do not invest in unlimiteds, and I still don't. But if you guys want to get this card, because this card, again, was another Generation 1 card that was banned, and it just has not been lifted, and it's been banned forever, and Konami is just knocking Gen 1 stuff off the list left and right. And I'll be bold enough to say, like I said before, everything has potential to come off the ban list, even to this extent as well. With that being said, this being the best rarity, we don't have a lot of rarities, but unfortunately, ultra rare is the best rarity we have. Investing in the unlimiteds, if this comes off the ban list, I know the unlimiteds are going to be way more than 6 bones. You can see the market price here. There's a couple copies here for 6 bones for unlimited. For collector's value, no, nothing. If you're going to go for this is the thing about this card. This is a ban card. It's a collector's card. And if it gets unbanned, it's going to potentially become, even though it's slow and it's a flip effect, I think it's going to go up because it's going to be a pretty good turn up in the game, and people are going to want to play it just because of the history, and it's been banned forever, and it's a really fun card. So with that being said, if you invest in the unlimiteds, I think you could potentially flip and make some profit, because they're definitely not going to be these price points. But understand that if you invest in first edition and it doesn't get lifted off this list, you're still going to have a collector's market card. You're still going to have an old school Gen 1 card that players are going to want to collect, banned or not. So that is why, more specifically for the majority of cards, but even particularly for this card, especially seeing how the first edition is really not that much more expensive. The first edition here is about 19 bones. So, I mean, yeah, it's in retrospective, it's about 3 times the price of the unlimited, but you got to understand, it's kind of like buying an insurance security on your card. If you go for first edition, if you pay the extra dollars, and you get the first editions here, which are roughly around 20 bones. I mean, we're kind of halfway through the pages, and the first editions are about 20 bones. Now you got to factor in they are lightly played, and to a certain extent, a lightly played is kind of up to determination. So be really careful about that. Again, if you are going specifically for collector's value, you normally do like pristine collector's value. You want to go near mint. But again, that near mint is going to cost you. So roughly around a little bit under 20 bones for the lightly playeds for the first editions. Lightly playeds continue on quickly into the early 20s. And then the first near mints go into 30 bones. So again, there is a significant price increase for the change in the conditions of the card. Everyone knows that. But that's what I want to say about Fiber Jar. Next is going to be Fairy Tale Snow. This has not been banned that long, and this is a really good card. And again, it's true it's true. Hype alone, and it increases it kind of gets people all riled up, and it really makes people think and wonder, and they're gonna go, I want to buy this card, I want to buy that card. And even if this card comes to 1, I mean, by no means, I don't think this would come off more than right now 1, at least not right now. It has potential to maybe get really more lenient release later on, but right now I think 1 would be very, very generous. And this can kind of go either way with any of these cards that I'm showcasing. But of course, obviously, these are just commons. You're not going to worry about this. OTS on a super rare, which again, this is kind of like one of those like medium-sized investments because it's not super cheap. Like the majority of the stuff that I've showed you, besides really the fiber jar, is it's a couple dollars, and this one is too. And this card's price point fluctuates a lot. Artwork is great. I'm really into OTS pack super rares. I think they make them very, very well, and they look very nice. It's about 3 bones, and honestly, I picked up this card a long time ago, like at least a year or 2 years ago or so. And it was pretty much like, around 2 or 3. 2 or 3 was the price point that I picked up a couple copies of these, and that's kind of where it stayed at. And it's kind of up to interpretation of what you guys want to do. If you guys want to go and spend, $3, $4, $5 on this card, but if it comes unbanned, I promise you, this is the highest rarity. This card's really good, and it's relatively generic. Almost all decks can play this to a certain extent. So, that's just up to you guys. Again, personally, I have a couple copies, so I didn't invest in it this time, but that's another card to consider. Next is going to be a Thunder Dragon Colossus. So I talked about this a little bit, so I'm not going to go in too much detail. And this is kind of a review because I've already talked about several of these cards in my last couple videos that I've uploaded, and I'm not trying to repeat myself, but I don't know who's watched those and who are new viewers that aren't watching these, so I want to make sure I'm capturing all the audiences here. Don't worry about this ultra rare. No one wants this. This looks like garbage, and this is never going to be desirable. With an ultra rare and secret rare, infinitely superior. The ultimate rares are, honestly, I would go for the secret rares though, because the secret rares are so significantly more affordable than the ultimate rares right now. The ultimate rares, of course, they're from the OTS pack, and they're ultimate rares. They're higher rarity. They do look very nice. But the secret rares are just so insanely cheap right now, and this card is so good. And even if this comes to 1, this will exponentially just boost Thunder Dragons. And again, Thunder Dragons, it's a really cool mechanic. There's a lot of big player base out there that like the deck. It's a really fun deck. It's a really powerful deck. It's a really diverse deck. It's a really fast deck. And just the nostalgic history behind Thunder Dragon, like the OG itself, and being ancient, and that it finally got support, and all the artwork is phenomenal. All the cards look really, really cool too. So the aesthetics is just great. And this being a high rarity of a secret rare, and Soul Fusion is not old, but it's not really. You can still find boxes and stuff, but as time goes on, this set keeps on getting older and older and harder to get, as naturally, as long with everything. So it's about 7-ish, 7, 8 bones here for the first couple first editions. Again, this is still here, this AP relinquished a playset here for 8 bones for the first editions. Again, I would only exclusively invest in the first edition prints of this, and I personally would prefer the secret rares over the ultimate rares. You guys can get the ultimate rares if you want, but you have to remember that it's got a lot fatter of a price point, and I still think, that the secret first are going to hold great value, especially when, not if, but when Colossus gets lifted off the list. Next is going to be Firewall Dragon. This is a 2-prong benefit because this is very much a collector's card too. If it comes off the ban list, will it necessarily be played? Maybe, maybe not. But the thing about this card, why this card is so great, especially right now with this pre-ban list season and the ban list to come, is because if it comes off the ban list, it goes up for playability, it goes up for just being unbanned and the hype in general, and then it, but besides that, even if it doesn't come off the list, it's still very much a collector's card. And I talk about this card and I showcase it so much because I'm such an avid believer in this card, specifically for exclusively the first edition's original prints from Code of the Duelist, which was a transition set that donned us link cards. And this is the OG print, the highest rarity that we have. Maybe one day we'll get an ultimate rare, maybe not. This was really popular in the anime. This has really infamous history with the Danger Dark Worlds. Was it like the OTK thing? And it had a little stint where it was just annihilating everything. Stuff like that. Players remember the infamy of cards just being utterly just unparalleled and just destroying everything. And just, literally just having the only way they got knocked down is by the ban list. So this card's really good for that, and this card has seen exponential growth for quite a while. This is a decrease right here, because the last time I reviewed this card for this version, it was about $10 plus. Now it's about $7, That's pretty much the average price point is about 7 for the first edition OG prints. 5+ pages, so plenty to go around. These are unfortunately only one stack, so you really want to buy this card in bulk. And again, this is just a great target because you could go for the collector's market with this card. And if you just want to make money, if this gets unbanned, it's going to, the hype and just it being unbanned, it's going to increase the value. You can just do a single stock trade and just buy low and sell high and just make a couple bones that way. Or, if you want to play it, maybe some people will play it. But that's why I wanted to showcase Firewall specifically. Elder Entity Norton, this still to the day. This is a 5-year-old print card, and it's still a solo print. That just speaks volumes. That's insane. And it's still relatively cheap. It's only about a bone plus. There's not really a lot of stacks, so really quickly, I'm just going to go ahead and see what kind of stacks are available. It's about 2 bones, so it's averaging about 2 to 3-ish bones for like the fat stacks because this is a cheaper card, so you definitely want to buy in bulk to save on shipping. And people would complain like it's just it's a low rarity of just a super rare, but you have to remember, and it is a solo print. Obviously, if this comes unbanned, it's going to be reprinted again. Probably more likely to be reprinted in like a really crappy rarity like ultra rare, because for some reason Konami is obsessed with these ultra rare reprints, only ultra rare reprint sets right now, and but it's really cool artwork. It's a really good card, generic card. I think this is the card people used. What was that fusion card? Anyway, I can't remember, but that's another card that's on speculation of like the list and everything, but. I don't know. I think personally it'd look really great in a secret rare reprint, but remember this is a solo, and it's just it's a tin promo, and I kind of got a thing. It's kind of like Max C. Like I really like the tin promos of Super Rare Max C, but then again I have a whole like crusade about using hand traps and Super Rare, and anyway, that's a story for another day. Anyway, next is going to be MX Saber Invoker. There's all of these rarities are really great. I love Duelist Saga Ultra Rares because they have that unique, and still to the day is just a very unique set. I think it's holding great value on its own merit alone, just like Dual Terminal, because it's unique. There's no other set that has manufactured the Ultra Rare rating that is in this set. Okay, and of course there's the 2 secret rare prints. There's the Battles of Legends Light's Revenge reprint, and there's of course the OG Order of Chaos. Now obviously for collectors and just history and and for age, you're gonna naturally want to go for the original prints from Order of Chaos, which is an insanely old set. This is a really popular set. We got Inzectors, we got Wind-Ups. This was a really fun format in Yu-Gi-Oh! I think this was like maybe 2012 or 2013 era or something. And of course, first edition. You're gonna want to go first edition. Unlimiteds are really nothing. First edition here is about 3 bones. Only 4 pages here on the market. And yeah, it's roughly around 3 bones. Now, because this card is so cheap, honestly, 3 bones is really not that much. Unfortunately, there's not really a lot of stacks. I already have several prints of both of these, honestly. I have like 1 print of this, a couple prints of this, and I have several prints of the original first editions because this card has just been so cheap for so long. And it's just one of those cards that if it comes off the list, it's going to see exponential growth. Like nothing completely blowout, but definitely a lot more than 3 bones. So with the original prints being so cheap, and again, I'm a huge fan of reprints that are the same rarity, still first edition, still secret rares. They're still very much, very nice and collectible to me. And these are just insanely cheap though. Like these are literally like not even $1. You don't even really see cards on here, at least that I review, that are under $1 because like the profit margin is just so minimal. It's insane that people like sell stuff like this. But obviously there's a lot more availability of this reprint, and it's just exponentially cheaper, and I'm kind of tossed up. So honestly, I would get both if you can afford it. If you want to, I would get both. I would definitely have the original Order Cast First Edition Secret, seeing how they are still super cheap. They're like $3. But I would not neglect this too, because if you buy a fat stack of these are all like literally like even super cheap, or they're 30 cents. And there's a fat stack here for about $1, and you stock up on these, and this comes unbanned. This is not going to be $1 card. The original print is probably going to go up to like $10, $20, and this is probably going to go to like $5 or $7 or $8. So if you buy fat stacks of these at if you want to go through these one-ofs, or if you want to buy the 75-cent ones, you're in a good profit margin. Next is going to be Shockmaster. Again, this card, it had like 1 or 2 formats and it got banned, and it just has not seen the light of day since. Unfortunately, we don't have any good reprints. I think this would look amazing. I think this would be an amazing ultimate rare target but when it comes off the list, when it gets lifted off the list. There is the 2012 tin, which is super ancient, an 8-year-old tin super rare promo, which is actually surprisingly holding pretty good value. Well, it's about $2-ish, so not really holding good value. But there's just not a lot of prints of this, and this is kind of just a long begotten XYZ monster that's just really good and really powerful that it's just been banned for so long. A lot of new players don't even know what it is or what it does, and it was just so short-lived that it didn't really get a lot of history on the books. But, this is a couple dollars, and then you have, I think it was the Shonen Jump Ultra Rare, which obviously is going to be more desirable, harder to get, and have a higher price tag. But it's relative, it's very expensive for what it is. Does it have potential to come off this list? Of course. I'm a firm believer that anything can come off any list. But is it likely? Not really. And with this, at least yet, I definitely don't think maybe. But who knows? Who knows? Like, it's always a dice roll with Konami. They do a lot of unpredictable things. But these price points, it's just too expensive. For being a low rarity, I understand that Shonen Jump and, it's a promo from the magazines and all that, but it's just an ultra rare. Now, granted, Shonen Jump ultra rares are very nice, they're very collectible, but this card needs to have a higher rarity print, and I really think that it would look fantastic. And again, an OTS Ultimate Rare, maybe even a Secret Rare, but this is just this $15, $16 price point for this card is just, it's unnecessary. But the only reason I wanted to showcase this is just to kind of remind you guys that Shockmaster is still out there, and it has potential, but right now this is kind of just not really the right time. Next is going to be Lavalval Chain. Of course, there's the Hidden Arsenal 7 Secret Rares, and there's the DT Terminal 7s. Now, this is going to be more on like the top dollar side. I just kind of wanted to show you the Secret Rare versions too and the significance of the price differences. So kind of consider this part of the higher end. I'm going to be transitioning into the higher end cards here soon. Of course, this is a Dual Terminal Ultra Rare, just beautiful, amazing. I'm an avid fan of dual terminal stuff. Dual terminal stuff has been discontinued. Konami has not communicated anything of continuous rarity, so just amazing in its own merit alone, unique on its own merit for that. And it's around $40. It's almost around 40, then 40 plus. And this is just, again, now I'm not necessarily saying to go and invest in this, but if it gets unbanned, I don't see it going up too much more, maybe, possibly. But again, this is just one of those cards that's really, really expensive. So this is kind of like a high dollar investment for this version exclusively. But don't disregard the Secret Rares. Now, I know that Hidden Arsenals were all super in secret, and people really kind of try to bag and discredit. But you have to remember, Hidden Arsenal is out of print. Hidden Arsenal is gone. It's no longer being manufactured anymore, and this is still very much a Secret Rare and a very aesthetically pleasing card, amazing artwork. It's a Foolish Burial on legs. It's a really cool sea serpent monster. It's got great artwork, and these versions are about 6 bones. So if you were to invest in this card, I would definitely recommend investing in this version just because it's so significantly more affordable than the dual terminals, but again, that's just going to be player preference. All right, so moving into the next set, these are still going to be like the medium to lower end investments. Glow Up Ball, more specifically for the Secret Rares. I wouldn't really be much concerned about any of these, but Ultra maybe, but there is an Ultimate Rare, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. So, I mean, when it's Ultimate versus Ultra, I mean, everyone wants the Ultimate Rare, so that really devalues the Ultra Rares. But Secret Rares from Legendary Collection 5Ds, I personally, again, I don't even think I own a single glow-up bulb, which I think is really stupid. I really think that I would like to invest in Secret Rares, but the thing is the price points just have not been right. This card's just been too expensive for me to be comfortable to invest in, more specifically for this print, because this is the print that I want. I can give 2 hoots less of the Ultimate Rare. I want the Secret Rares. I prefer Secret Rares in the majority of cards, but it has gone down a little bit because this card used to be like 12, 15, 13, 10, and now we can see it at about 7. Again, you have to go exclusively only the first editions on this, and all the page, they're all pretty much first edition here. So that's good. It's good for us. So it's completely up to you guys. Again, if this gets off the list, though, you have to remember it's not going to be a $7, $8 card. I could see this card going 15, 20 because it's glow up bulb, plant players are crazy, and it is a secret rare. Next is going to be Cirque. So again, Burning Abyss is a really fun deck to pilot. A lot of big fanboys out there. There's a big populace of players that love this deck. I personally wouldn't invest this card. I'm just showing you because I'm just wanting to make you guys aware that this is a key card. It's important if you have it, good. If you don't, not really a big deal. Because if it gets lifted on the list, it's going to get reprinted, and it's going to get reprinted in a better rarity. Because you look at what we have a crap rare from original print, and then we have a crap of the crap gold. No one wants these rarities. No one wants these cards. Obviously, people are going to take the OG rare first editions over anything else, but there's literally only 2 prints, and these are just awful low rarity prints, so I really wouldn't worry about that. But I would just be aware that when it gets lifted off the list, it's going to be reprinted, hopefully, in something nice like a secret rare, and that is going to be the card that you want to invest in. Next is going to be Armageddon Knight. So a lot of different prints of this, but really nothing too special. Pretty much super rares are the highest that we get, the best, and the only one that I would recommend investing in is going to be the OG super rares, which are super old from Phantom Darkness. This is an amazing Infamous set. There was just an abundance of amazing dark cards that came out of this set. And this is definitely by far the best rarity for collectors, for playability, for everything. Unlimiteds are nothing because they're unlimiteds, but when you get to the first editions, this is actually not that bad. It looks like it's decreased a little bit. It's about 3-ish, four bones, about four or 5 bones for the first editions for lightly played, for the first couple ones that we get here. This is a Foolish Burial on legs. It's a dark, it's a level 4, it's a warrior. Artwork is, it's pretty cool, I guess. I mean, I wouldn't give it, a 10 out of 10 for the artwork, but the artwork is all right. But it's also just another old school super rare, and that, of course, you're going to want to get in first edition. So completely up to you guys. I personally have not invested in these. I don't know if I'm going to take a blunder for that or not, but this is a really critical card. It's at 1 on the list right now, and if it gets lifted, or when it gets lifted, it's going to increase. So I had to showcase that. Next is going to be the lower versions of Dark Grepher. I'm going to be showcasing the secret rare on the higher end tabs in a little bit. A couple different super rares here. Honestly, there's the Turbo Pack Ultra Rares, which, some people probably want for collector stuff, but it's just, I don't think it's worth the price point. What I would do was the Dual Terminal 6, and, a couple weeks ago, I recommended and I reviewed the DT61 Commons, and, it's nowhere near the original Secret Rares first editions. Those are insanely, collectible cards, which I'll show you on the higher end tabs here in a bit. But this is literally $1. This is like a single bone for this card for DT. And look, there's a 15 stack right here, a 6 stack right here. So there is options, there is availability, 3 pages left. And I think that it is smart to have at least a playset of DT Dark Greffers. Because when it comes off the list, when it goes from 1 to 2 or 3, it's definitely not going to be $1 for the DT versions. Next is going to be Cyberstein. So of course there's this unattainable prize card, and then there's the rare, and this literally had no attainability because no one had Dark Getting 2 because it was just insanely old, and there was really just these 2 prints. But we saw an amazing secret rare reprint out of Battles for Legend Heroes Revenge, and this card, I have so many copies of this. I've invested so heavily in this secret rare first edition because it got the rarity update with how they changed the secret rares with the attributes and the level stars, as they did when they transitioned, they updated the rarities prints in the Battles of Legends. The first one here, Light's Revenge, and still to this day, this card is extremely cheap. It's increased a little bit. It's about almost 3 bones now. If you factor in shipping, and there's really not a lot of fat stacks. There's only a stack of 6 here, but plenty of pages to go around. It used to be, like a $1, $2 card, so it's slowly starting to increase, but just the artwork, the history, how old this card is, and it being an amazing secret rare, this is definitely something to keep your eye on. Next is going to be Macrocosmos, so I'm going to transition from the monsters to the traps and the magics now. that I want to talk about more specifically for the ban list. So Macrocosmos, it's at 1 on the list. It has been at 1 on the list for years and years and years, and I'm a huge anti-meta player. And I know anti-meta isn't the most like favorite deck. There's no like a lot of anti-meta players out there. Anti-meta is kind of like when people just want to piss off the meta and kind of do something a little disruptive, and it's really fun. And I love that aspect of anti-meta. Waiting for this card to come off the list forever. Of course, you know you have the 2 ultra rare prints, Legendary Collections 2 and Raw Yellow Mega Pack ran parallel. It was kind of like Legendary Collection 3 and 4. They print a lot of the same cards and the same rarities, kind of double stack chances of people getting them, which I thought was pretty cool. And of course, you know, for your collectors market, for the people that like Dark Rev, there's a Dark Rev 4 Super Rare, which is pretty high. But what I want to talk about more specifically is the DT6 Rare. Again, I have so much praise for Dual Terminal. Dual Terminal's gone. It's no longer being manufactured. It's, if I can boldly say, it's a fan favorite rarity. I don't know anyone that does not like Dual Terminal or think Dual Terminal looks bad. It is not even a common. It is a rare Dual Terminal, dawning from Dual Terminal 6. And this is the print to get. Now, unfortunately, I mean, I have several copies of this. I've been collecting this card for a long time, and I can't remember because it's been such a significant amount of time since the last time I've purchased copies of these. But I did buy them in bulk. I have several. I mean, I probably have like 30 or 20 copies or so. Rough estimate, and they were significantly cheaper than this. This definitely is a pretty uncomfortable price point for what this card is, but fortunately there is plenty of stacks. There's a 26 and 20 stack leading for the market price for roughly around 4 bones. And the thing is, when this card goes to 2 or 3, this is not going to be a $4 card. It's going to go up, maybe not majorly, maybe to like 10, maybe 15, probably max, but that's still a really good profit of margin. But the thing is this, I needed to showcase this card, but it's kind of like you kind of missed the train on this, because this is a very good, like one of the best. This and Skill Drain, in my opinion, White Mexican Logic are some of the best floodgates in the game. So you really just have to kind of keep your eye on this, and who knows, time will tell with these lists. Of course, Skill Drain is next. You have the original OG First Edition Dark Crisis, which are not only collectibles, they're Gen 1 old school cards. They're also, this card is just literally, again, one of the most disruptive, blowout, powerful floodgates of all time. And of course, with the lost, what is it? We have the two ultra rares, Lost Art Promotion and the Turbo Pack 8, which are just, you know, extremely overpriced, I think. I just don't like ultra rares, and I just, you know, this is not really a significant change. They just added the horns. I think this was a completely cheesy selection. Dark Magician Girl and the Harpies Girl stuff is really the only, and Foolish Burial were really the only, and Monster Reborn are really the only good selections that Konami has made for, like, that are making a significant impact in the market, in my personal opinion. But honestly, I would not invest in these. I would invest in the original First Edition rares or the Dual Terminal 3s. More specifically, the Dual Terminal 3s, because the Dual Terminal 3s are not cheap, but they're significantly more affordable than the Lost Art Promotion Ultra Rares and the Turbo Pack Ultra Rares, which I just don't think look good. I mean, call me crazy, but I much would rather have a DT over those Ultras. And you can say, and it's not cheap. Again, this is a very good card, and it's been limited forever because it's so good. They're about 9-ish bones, and there's a 5 and 11 stack leading the market price, so only one page available. So this is another really great target for the list. Really quickly, I do want to take a dip into the OG Gen 1 First Edition, just out of curiosity. All Skill Drains, just in general, are worth pretty good amounts of money. You can see all of them are a couple dollars. Again, like this, when this card comes off the list, it's just going to be insane. That's the Dark Rev one. Alright, so Dark Crisis, here you go. First edition Dark Crisis. So Let's see if we can find some first editions here. Again, this is an extremely ancient set, so here's a first edition for about 6 bones. There's 4 prices on the market here, and then we get a 2-stack. Here's one for 8. There's a 2-stack for about 9. So really just not a lot available. So it's pretty much the same thing. It's just right behind the DT in value. DT is around 10, 9. And the original OG first editions are about 8, 7-ish. Next is going to be Vanity's Emptiness. This is a highly anticipated card. Pretty much everyone is watching this card right now. There's few to no content creators that I've seen that are not showcasing this, are not talking about this card. This is a very anticipated card, and you can see the highest rarity as a secret rare Dawning from Legendary Collection 5Ds is showing in price value. Again, this is not a good time to get this card because we're right before the ban list and everyone's jacking up their prices in anticipation of this card coming unbanned, which it very much potentially can, and it's going to continue to increase after that when it does. But this is just not a good market price right now. It's about 16 plus, and then it kind of just trickles up after that. Only 2 pages. But interesting enough, what people aren't looking at, which is going to sound kind of crazy, and I may turn a lot of people off right now with what I say, but no one's looking at the Secret Forces super rares. Now, granted, they're never going to be as rare, they're never going to look as nice, and they're never going to be as desirable as the secret rares. But if we go over here and we look at the Secret Forces super rares, they're literally like a bone. They're $1. They're super cheap. This is still very much a super hollow. Being a super rare, it's a hollow foil. It's going to do the same thing. And if you think about this, everyone wants to play this card. Everyone's anticipating this card to come off the list. Now, I'm really surprised because I'm going to go ahead and just do this. More realistically, we're going to look at the stacks because this card is significantly cheap. It actually, when we start to get the stacks, it increases exponentially. It went from like $1, as you could see, to about almost $4. So, again, this may be something that is kind of like late in the game information, but if you have stacks and stacks and stacks of this card being that it's so cheap, more specifically, obviously, for the 1 stacks, because they really start to jack up the price for the fat stacks, this card is not going to be $1. It's not going to be $3, $4. When this card gets unbanned, even for the super rare print, again, it's never going to catch up to the secret rare, but it's still going to be worth good money. I would probably say about $10. I would say about 10 bones is a safe bet when this comes off the list that this is going to be. These are for unlimiteds. That's really weird. Don't invest in unlimiteds. Make sure you get the first editions, even though it's just the super get first editions, which are about actually $2-ish, $3. So, again, this is just increasing because the list is upon us and no one knows what's going to happen. And I'm just saying, like, I have a lot of these because I personally invested in Secret Forces very heavily. And I still have many of my first edition boxes sealed for, like, collector's value and stuff and just kind of racking up age credit. But this is just something to consider. Next is going to be Rhoda, Reinforcements of the Army. Obviously, there's the Hobby League 6. Be careful. Cardstock formula was manufactured different, and it's a lot thicker. These bow really bad, too, but very, very gorgeous. And it's very exclusive Hobby League Parallel Ultra. This isn't seeing like some insane price points. This is at one on the list, and this very much has potential. I mean, call me crazy, but if this came to 2, I think it'd be very difficult for it to come to 2 because this is an extremely powerful generic card. Warriors, there's so many powerful warrior decks out there, but when it does. And this is already, it's like this card is like already off to 2 or 3 because the price point is literally just, this is insane. It's like 31 starting price for this. This is insanely overpriced. Even if this comes off the list, I don't really see this card increasing more. It's just already like, these are just like pre-hype prices. People are just anticipating, I gotta sell high because the sucker's gonna come off the list. Wouldn't worry about the ultra rare, but more specifically, the gold one looks really great too. This is actually holding good price. 2008-2009 Gold Series is really old, and it always kind of has hold relatively nice price points. But overall, even beyond the Hobby League 6 Parallel Ultra, my all-time favorite is the original OG Generation 1 LOD Legacy of Darkness first edition magic stamped magic card version. This is the very first version that we got, and not only this being an extremely playable card, a generic card, and it's an amazing target to possibly get lifted off the list, it has collector's value written all over it. And I constantly go in and out reviewing this card because it's just... This card used to be like $5 for the longest time. I don't remember. I have to go through my inventory. I think I have maybe like 6 or 9 of these lightly played near mint first editions, and I was buying them for like at no more than $5 a piece. That was my rule. When I was picking these up, one-ofs all over the place, I never spent more than 5 bones on this card for the original print first editions. And the market is reacting. The market is starting to notice. I mean, the first edition we get here is almost 20 bones. It's 19, and it kind of trickles up into the early 20s after that, and then there's only 3 pages left. So this is just insane. So now, it's kind of getting to those uncomfortable price points, so it's up to player preference. If you guys think the values can continue to go up, obviously, if it gets lifted off the list, it's going to go up a lot. If it doesn't, it's still at 1. It's still a really good card. It's still very much a dual-pronged benefit card because it's playable, but it's also a really old collectible card as well. Next is going to be Upstart Goblin. So this is at 1 on the list. I've been talking about this card forever. This card... Will this be the list that it goes to 2 or 3? Maybe, maybe not. But if it does, I want to talk more specifically about the super rares from Secret Slayers. Of course, there's the Legendary Collection 3 Ultra Rares and the Turbo Ultra Rares, which, again, I don't normally like Ultra Rares. This actually looks really good, and I'm just an avid fan of a lot of the stuff in Legendary Collection 3 and 4. I have, endless praise for that set. The Super Original Supers are just way overpriced, and they're old, and they're not, they're just old and harder to get. But when we look at the Secret Slayers Super Rare, which Secret Slayers, again, just came out, it's a new set, and this is very much in abundance on the market, and it's just literally like a few dollars as opposed to like the $30 plus Fight Fat price tag of the Turbo Pack Supers. And it's got the updated raring, the spell attribute thing is hollowed out, and it looks better to me. It just looks better, and it's so much cheaper. It's literally like a $2-ish, $3 card now. And slowly, and I keep on talking about this card, and I sound like a broken record because I keep on going back to this card, is because this is not going to stay like this. This is not going to be a $2, $3 card forever. When Secret Slayers first dropped, I got abundance. I think I got like 40 or so copies of first edition near mint for roughly around $2. I bought fat stacks because this is just one of the most amazing generic draw power cards in all of the game. It literally has the potential to turn a 40 card deck to instantly a 37 card deck, to search through your cards quickly, and this, it's gonna get lifted off the list forever. It's not so much of a overpowered card that it's going to stay at 1 forever. It's going to come to 2 and then 3 eventually. All right, so moving into the higher end, this is going to be kind of my segment. This is going to be the last segment that I'm going to showcase here in this video, is going to be the higher end cards. First thing, Maxi. Everyone is anticipating Maxi. Everyone wants Maxi to come to 1. Does it have the potential? Will it be this list? No one knows. White Mexican theory is yes. I am on every list. I am very hopeful and positive about this coming to 1 on the list. And when it does, all of these price points are just going to go out of insane control and just increase exponentially. The Ultimate Rare, I don't even want to talk about the Ultimate Rare. This is just continued to just increase like crazy. I like the Ultimate Rare. I think it looks very nice. But for the price point, I personally prefer the original first editions. Storm of Ragnarok was a really cool set. This was roughly around the time that I came back into the game after being separated for a long time, for many years. And I just, call it player preference, call it bias. I love secret rares. I love original prints. And Unlimiteds alone are still, a good value. They're like 45 plus. When we get into the first editions, those see, exponential increase in value. I do not recommend purchasing unlimited versions of this by any means. If you're going to go all out, go first editions, which are going, dawning right under 100 bones. The first edition is 85, then it goes to 87, 87 and a half, and then about 90, and then there's only a couple more pages here. So this card is already just, if you don't have your maxis, this one's a tough one because these prices are just so high, and it's because of the season of Yu-Gi-Oh! We're in, and we're right before the list, and everyone wants this card, and everyone's trying to stock up on their maxis because they want to play with them or sell them or whatever. But really, and I'll say it again, I've said it before, I think the best investment right now is the 2012 Super Rare Tin promos, because it's still a super rare, it's still a hollow foil, and it's the most affordable. It's the most affordable besides the common, but no one wants a crap common. You're gonna want at least a super rare and above. And my rule for this card for the longest time has been about 5 bones. Every time this card has gone to 5 bones, I always try to pick it up. 5 bones or lower, like I just stockpile, just pick these up so quickly, because and this card fluctuates relatively slowly, but it's about 10 bones now. You can see it's roughly around 9-10 bones on the market. Really not a lot of fat stacks. These are foreign, so don't worry about that. 5+ pages on the market. But so I like my hand traps in super rare. And the 2012 collector's tin, this promo was insanely old. I don't remember what it was. Was it like the Hanzo tin or something? I think this was the Hanzo tin that this came out of. And I personally, for really meta-heavy cards and impactful cards like this, I play with super rares. I don't play with my ultimate rare first edition, like old school first edition secret. I have decks like that, and I collect those cards because they look nice and they hold great value, and they're good for like collector's value and for like selling and trading for other stuff that you need. But I don't play with my high rarity stuff, and that's why I think with Maxi holding such a fat price point in all rarities, I think that this is the best investment because it's the cheapest, and it has still very much, it looks nice being a super rare, and you can play with it and play with it and play with it, and it doesn't really matter if it gets lightly played from playing with it in your duels because it's just a super rare, but it still looks nice. It's still very much a maxi. It still does the same thing, and everyone's going to play this card. Like, you cannot not play this card when it comes to one on the ban list. Next is going to be Dark Grepher. So this is more specifically for the high-end original OG, Dawning from Phantom Darkness, Secret Rares. This is just an all-around fan favorite dark card. Artwork is just completely amazing. Crazy history, extremely old set. Unlimiteds, again, I don't recommend investing in unlimiteds, but they're holding good price values. And then first editions are going up to about 60 bones. Only 3 pages on the market, and just continues to trickle up after that. Gets to the 100+ price points on the second page, so just insane value in that card. I showcased Armageddon Knight, so I can't showcase Armageddon Knight without Dark Grepher. Yatagarasu, again, this is like cookie cutter chaos format, necessary ingredient. This card has just been banned forever. This is like one of the old school Gen 1 like original banned cards that has just not seen the light of day, and Konami has recently they've gone on this crusade of releasing these really old, Gen 1 cards. So does it have potential? Yes. Is it this list? Maybe, maybe not. But I do know that Yatagarasu has amazing artwork. It's a high rarity of Secret Rare. Back in the day, Secret Rare was the highest. That was the ceiling. That was the highest rarity that you could get in Gen 1 Yu-Gi-Oh! And this card just has amazing history, like right up there with Blackluster Soldier and Chaos Emperor Dragon and Regeki and Heavy Storm and Harpy's Feather Duster, and all those just infamously just completely blow out powerful cards. And unlimiteds here are, starting price is like 31, but again, this is very much a collector's card. No one is going to play a first edition Secret Rare Yatagarasu, and if you do, I'm sure there's players that will, but that's like so crazy. Like, put your first edition Secret Rare Yatagarasus in 2 sleeves, a Yu-Gi-Oh sleeve and a Magic sleeve, and put it into a top loader and sell it, or just look at it and put it in a showcase or something, because it's just insane that people play with these just like super high rarity cards. Like, I get it, like you really like high rarity stuff, like There's nothing wrong with having high rarity stuff, but you need to sell it or you need to showcase it and just like protect it and just keep it nice. That's just my personal opinion. First editions is going to be 85, which I'm actually surprised. I really thought this card would be in about the $100 market price for any version of the first editions, but it's 85, and then it goes to 90, and it goes to 120, and then there's only 4 pages left of this, and then it quickly goes to 100 plus, and you can just see it just goes up and up and up and up and up. For all those reasons I mentioned, Yatagarasu, ladies and gentlemen, an amazing, super high dollar investment. If you guys don't have this card, I mean, it's gonna be either it's gonna cost you a lot. Masterpiece, again, True Dracos. I think it's safe to say there's a relatively large player base out there, and this is it's relatively hard to get around, and especially people. It's kind of an older-ish starting to get there, like Generation 1 old. People kind of forget what the deck does, and when you don't know what the deck does, it's kind of hard. It makes it a lot more significantly more difficult to get around and to beat. And it does recycle very, very well. And this card is, again, it's going up because of where we're at in the list. It's about 14-ish, 15. Again, you only want to get first editions, and there's 5+ pages. So it's completely up to player preference. Again, it's the amazing rarity of Secret Rare. Really awesome artwork. Just a blowout, amazing card. And even if it comes to 1, it's going to see a significant price increase, and we're going to see a lot of players coming back to True Dracos and playing this deck, and I think that's going to be really cool. Glow Up Ball, the Ultimate Rare version, is going to be next. Again, the first edition here, this is Ultimate from a core set, Starstrike Blast, which I don't know if this was a set. Someone told me once that I think this was the set that only had first edition run. It didn't have unlimited products. So this is definitely it. 1 page, all first editions here, and it's about 50 bones. Now, I'm gonna be 50 bones. That's a lot of money. I'm not gonna personally. I don't have the interest to invest in this card, but I respect and I appreciate and I realize the value and of the potential investment of this card. Synchro Plants was an amazing deck. It was a fun deck. There's a huge player base that wants to bring that deck back. This is one of the critical cards they need to bring that power back. And this is an amazing rarity of an Ultimate Rare from an extremely old set of Starstrike Blast. And I think 50 bones is really nothing for this card. When this card comes off the list, this being the highest rarity and being Ultimate Rare, and from the set alone that's just from the Infamous set, it's just going to go, I think, well above 100, honestly. These prices right here is probably where it's going to go, and then these are just going to go up. So, again, if you're looking for a high dollar investment, $50 in a first edition Ultimate Glow Up Bulb, I would not think twice about that. If you're into plants and stuff, I'm not personally, but I respect that a lot of people are, and I respect that there's potential investment value in Ultimate Rare Glow Up with the price point that it's at. Same with Dandelion. Now, I spend $2 and I get a first edition Secret Rare, and I'm happy as pie. I can, fully indulge in a Secret Rare first edition all day long, and I don't need anything else. Other players, like hardcore plant players, they want the best of the best, Astral Pack 4, which is the Ultimate Rare. Now, check this out. This is very surprising. Dandelion, the highest rarity of Dandelion, is more expensive, starting market price of $65, so about $15 more than Glow Up Bulb, first edition Ultimate Rare. How insane is that? Now, the likelihood of Dandelion getting unbanned more so than Glow Up Bulb, potentially, maybe. It's safe to say you can make an interesting argument about Dandelion has more potential to come off the list than Glow Up Bulb. But you have to remember that Glow Up Bulb, at least this set, is significantly older than, significantly older. I don't really remember the time frames. I guess Astral Pack is definitely newer than Starstrike Blast. I know that for a fact, but they're kind of roughly around the same time frame, roughly, I would say, if I remember correctly. But I would say Glow Up Bulb is significantly more desirable than Dandelion. Dandelion's a little bit more flexible, it's a little bit more diverse. You can actually use it in more than just Synchro Plants, whereas Glow Up Bulb is, it's pretty flexible too. They're both very flexible cards, because Glow Up Bulb you can use in any Synchro deck. Any Synchro-centric deck is going to run Glow Up Bulb when it comes on ban. But I just think that's very interesting. I just think it's interesting that Dandelion is more. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of take note of that. So again, this is just going to be another high end, significantly higher investment than even Glow Up Bulb, which is kind of interesting. Cyberjar is going to be next. There is an Ultra Rare version of this. And there's, a Parallel Ultra, and there's also the OG Rares, which I think were from Magic Ruler. But anyway, this is the highest rarity dawning from Duelist Pack Kaiba. Amazing artwork, amazing rarity, and this is just another one of those cards that has just been banned forever. This is, again, one of the last few that just went on the list and just never saw the light of day. It's just been banned forever. Unlimiteds, which I don't recommend investing in, are already sitting at about 20 bones. Real market comes in for the first editions, which are going to be on the first page, which start at a whopping 185 bones. 185 bones, ladies and gentlemen. This card has just seen some insane increases in value. More than likely because of where we're at with the list. And the list is right here. And it's not necessarily there's so many people who are yeah, Cyberjar is going to come off the list. Can it come off the list? Yes. Anything has potential to come off the list. Is it likely that's going to come off the list? Probably not, seeing how this card has literally been banned for almost 18 years. It's been banned forever. But again, I am a firm believer that everything can come off the list. Everything has the potential. It's just a matter if it gets errated or not. So obviously right now this isn't a good time to go in for ultimate rare versions of this card, ultimate rare prints, but there is some healthy alternatives such as the original rares, first editions exclusively, and the Hobby League Parallel Ultras. It's been a while since I reviewed this card, so this is going to be kind of news to me as well. Here we go. We have the Hobby League 2 Ultras, which are looking at looks like they're either between 15 and 20 bones. I have a few copies of these. Again, remember the card stock is different on this, so you got to be careful with playability of these cards. These are more specifically just for selling and collector's value. And yeah, it's about just under 20 bones, and it quickly trickles into the early 20s after that. Only 2 pages, so this is this is at a pretty uncomfortable price point in my opinion. And kind of the last dying hope for this card is going to be the original rares. Again, I believe it's Magic Ruler, because this is a Gen 1 Yu-Gi-Oh card. Alright, Magic Ruler. I'm going to be honest, I don't think there's going to be a lot of first editions of this card on the market. This is just insanely old. We're talking Gen 1 Set 3 of Yu-Gi-Oh for this version. This would be an amazingly fun play card when it comes off, but more specifically, the value holds in the collector's value behind this card. And it's about 4-ish 5. So here's 2 for about 5-ish bones, 1 stacks. There's 4 pages on the market. And there's actually quite a few first editions. I'm actually really surprised. So they're roughly around 5. So it's about 5-ish bones. So not too terribly unreasonable for seeing how ancient this card is, but completely just up to player preference. All right, so as I said before, Maxi is probably the most anticipated card to get lifted off the Forbidden List. Right under that, I think it's safe to say, is Harpy's Feather Duster. We've had Regeki for quite a while now. Players want Harpy's Feather Duster. The OCG in Japan has it. We want it too. And it's just a matter of fact if Konami is going to give us what we want or not. There is a lot of good prints. Legendary Collection 4, Legendary Collection 3, sets ran parallel. Invest exclusively in the first edition secrets. And, of course, there's these, I get kind of confused behind these. I didn't know there was 2 different game promos. Anyway, the prize one, or the tournament pack one. But anyway, this one, Stairway to the Destined Duel, the Prismatic Secret Rare, which, if I'm remembering correctly, either the tournament pack 8 or this one, was the first OG print for us here in the TCG. And it's an old school game promo. It's an amazing rarity and a gorgeous, highly aesthetically pleasing Prismatic Secret Rare. And this card has been going up and up and up, and the closer we've been getting to the list, and it always does this, it always goes really high when it comes to the list, and it doesn't get unbanned, and then it kind of trickles down, but it doesn't trickle down too much. It stayed at kind of this $20, $15 price point. It's kind of the average now, and there's still pretty good abundance on the market. You don't really see a lot of stacks. Like the only stack on the first page is this 3-page. So this is personally what I have invested in. It's been a long time since I've invested in this card because it has been going up. And people have just started to realize, like, holy crap, this is like the best rarity, and this is insanely old, and, you know, everyone's just waiting for it to come off the list. So this is completely player preference, but I would not disregard, if you don't want to go crazy high top dollar, do not disregard, again, first edition exclusively. This first edition is exclusively of Legendary Collections 3 and 4 with the standard secret rare foiling, which still look very, very nice. Which is going to be these two right here, which looks like they're a couple dollars cheaper than the Stairway to the Destined Duel. Giant Tornado is going to be next. I only want to review one version of this, the OG original print Magic Ruler, Magic Stamped Giant Tornades, first editions exclusively. I don't have many of these first edition. When I bought them several years ago, I bought them for $5 a piece. They're either in, I don't remember if they're lightly played or near mint, probably lightly played, first editions. This is the only print that we have in the TCG that is really going to hold, well, collector's value. The only collector's value is in this version, original G print, first editions. When this card comes off the list, obviously the other versions are going to have some type of price fluctuation increase, but this is always going to hold the best value. It is the hardest to get, and it is also the most expensive. But if you look at these right here, I'm very surprised. This is insane. Now, again, I bought a couple versions several years ago for $5. It's doubled in price here, you can see, but this is still insanely cheap. And if you guys don't hear anything else in this video, I know this has been a really long video, and you guys probably haven't watched this all the way through, but I really hope you guys hear this. This is insane. You guys need to buy this. I promise you, you will not regret buying $10 for a first edition original print Magic Stamped Giant Tornade. This card doesn't even have to come off the list. It is going to increase exponentially. It might not be overnight, but you can already see it's been a couple years and it's already doubled in price. And then a couple years it's going to double in price from that. This is a Gen 1, very powerful, really good, rich in history card. It's got amazing artwork, and it's just insanely old. It's been in the collector's market for several years now, and it's just going to continue to increase. And honestly, I think anything under $20 for a first edition version, lightly played or near mint, is a steal. Because this card is going to go up. More specifically for the collector's market, and with the allure of the ban list, I mean, that alone, it getting lifted off the list would just help all versions in general. But more specifically, this one just skyrocket exponentially because this card is just, it's really powerful and it's really old. So there's a 2-stack here for 10, which is insane. Like, you guys need to go and buy this. If you guys don't buy this, I'm going to buy this because this is not going to last. I promise you. Look, it goes straight, it doubles after that. The next sets go straight to 21, and it just kind of trickles up after that. And then there's only, 3 pages of this. And then it, quickly, it struggles to get to 30. And then it bombs out at 1,000. Like, it's definitely not at 1,000 yet. That's very ambitious. Maybe in, 20 years or something. But I'm telling you guys, those 2 stacks for 10, that is a gold mine. I would run as fast as you can and pick up those first edition lightly plates for 10. I promise you, you will not regret it. Heavy Storm is going to be next, okay? So this is the last card in the showcasing. This, Giant Tornade, and Harpy's Feather Duster, they're all kind of in the same boat. Everyone wants them off the ban list. It's just a matter of fact of when we get them off. Of course, there's the Hobby League 2 Ultra Parallel. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. I want to talk more specifically about the OG Metal Raiders first editions, which are just ungodly expensive. And it's insane how Giant Tornade has taken so much longer to increase in value compared to Heavy Storm, because in retrospective, Giant Tornade is a little bit more powerful because you can use it to your advantage to recycle your own magic and traps, which is really a unique mechanic that's really good. So Parallel Ultra from Hobby League 2, this is sitting at about 10 bones, and there's actually a good amount. There's a 9-stack for 10 bones here, so that's going to be ideal, and then it pretty much is around 10, 11, and good quantity in that. Again, different card stock. Be careful with playability on this. Is just going to be for collectors. It looks very nice, though. But again, I want to talk about the original first edition Metal Raiders super rares. The first prints we ever got donned in the TCG. Very nostalgic, very ancient, and just amazing in every way. Here we are. And these not only would just be a complete blowout card for the meta to play, right up there with Giant Trinade and Harpy's Feather Duster, but amazing artwork, amazing history, ridiculous diversity. And again, you see the Unlimited, and you can just, again, why everyone puts emphasis on first editions, because the Unlimiteds are just like, scraps on the dollar. And then you get to the first editions, which is unfortunately going to be only the last page, 75 bones. There's a couple Spanish ones here for 36, and then it's 75, and then quickly jumps to 100. So I think it's insane that this card is just so, like, mounds beyond Giant Trinade. Giant Trinade is still very attainable. This is not very attainable. Not a lot of people can comfortably just drop 75 bones, 100 bones like nothing. This will increase. This is definitely going to go beyond the $100 mark eventually. You can see just on the quantity alone is just so limited. That's a big push for the price increase. But it's just insane how you can get a first edition Giant Trinade for $10, even though it's slightly played. It's still very much a first edition. And the first Heavy Storm is 75. So that is why I just have to put huge emphasis on these two that are 10. You guys need to pick these up. That is like the MVP information of this video today. I have social media. The link is going to be below. You guys can contact me on Facebook anytime. I would love to hear from each and every one of you guys. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been a part of my life for 2 decades now, almost 2 decades now. It's a great passion of mine. It's one of my greatest hobbies. I really, really love the brotherhood and the excitement and the joy and the friendship that this game brings to every player that decides to invest their time and effort into it. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day and making some amazing Yu-Gi-Oh! Investments yourself. Good luck on this year's ban list. I hope you guys got the right cards. I hope some of the cards that you invested in get lifted off the list and you guys can flip for some great profit. This has been a showcasing by The White Mexican, and I will see you in the next video.